just up in enemy territory up in the Strabber here.
I'm not the enemy. You're talking about the area as opposed to me.
Up in the Strabber, and at Jim McCorry's house, in beautiful Strabber here. So it's I'm glad Jim agreed to do the wee chat with me, because Jim was obviously involved assistant manager with Armagh right up until last year. So no better man to ask about how we're doing this year and how he reckons going forward. And Jim, I've seen the hype building in the county, obviously, and there's no better place for hype than an Armagh. It's great in a way because the crowds come out straight away.
Yeah.
Well, the ball's got a good crowd, but it's more of a crowd, it's more of a buzz, there's a buzz straight away about the whole thing. But I'm just a wee bit worried because Galway is Galway. You know, they're the type of team that can just come out. Once they get to Croke Park, Galway has been like Down or Cork, those type of counties. They might have a team for a couple of years, but can just come out to Croke Park and they don't care, they're not afraid of anybody, and that's why. Well, what do you think of our chances even?
Yeah. Maybe before I give you a wee comment on that, I have to say that, I invite you up here on the premise that you're going to take me out for a pint.
Yes.
So, just so as you can see, this is the pint that I'm getting for taking them up to Strabber, and we'll make them a cup of coffee as well. So, the pint's going to come at a later date on it, so cheers for that.
But I heard Rosie makes it a great cup of coffee. So.
We'll go away. Look, listen, if you take what Armagh has played, the teams that they've played, the type of teams that they are individually, the type of players that they've met, they're not going to meet much different in my view, but maybe a combination of their last two might be more what Galway's going to be like. Galway are very, very strong side, physically very strong. I think the last time Armagh played them was 2016. Comparatively, there's been challenge games. I think Joyce and Kieran, would have been friends in the past, probably still are friends, but would have been associated more in the past. And I know we played them when I was there in a challenge game, fairly feisty challenge game, I have to say as well. And both teams wanted to win that leading into their preparations. And it was a great encounter because both teams had fairly strong play teams out, and were going for it. Galway now, and we know the Galway side of recent times, a forward line that's really good. Is it as good as Armagh's? I've seen where the Armagh's players have been saying themselves, that they have a forward line as good. I think Turpin was one of the ones actually who commented as well, as good as any forward line in Ulster. And I go so far as to say when they're on form, as good as any forward line in the country, to be honest. But Galway are very good up front too. Shane Walsh, I would say, probably would be on anybody's starting 15. He's a class player who can play off both feet. He's one of these type of players that you'll be in the game for 2 minutes and you can score 1-3. He can be quiet for long periods, and there's other games he can just dominate the whole game in terms of assists that he would do as well. So he can distribute the ball well, he can take scores with both feet. And he's renowned now, and he's the type of player that, because he is like that, it's a bit like Rain in the previous game where he was maybe marked out of it a bit more and he came back with a vengeance. Walsh is used to that type of man working and double teaming that will happen, and teams getting back into a good defensive setup, hard to break that down. He's obviously got a really good pivot man at full forward in Comer, who would be strong, bullish, no nonsense. Goal getter, can get the points as well. So in terms of matchups, what you say maybe is he made for the likes of Forker, who Forker were one of the strongest players I ever come across. He is so solid, really good man work. We've seen that last time. Murphy got a wee bit off him, and the previous game a wee bit off him, but Forker just dominated and took their key man out as part of that. So we'd have to do a similar job again if he was allocated that role. In terms of Walsh, who would pick him up? Again, he's the type of player that you have to put somebody on to do that job. Morgie's been playing superb this year. This is the best I've seen Morgie play. Certainly the time I was there and even before that, I think he's playing really, really well to do that job. So he may well be an option there. Conroy as well, is a good scorer and attacking midfielder for them, playing half forward line to play in midfield. Big tall player as well. They've big tall midfield, so you want to have to see the likes of Creeley and Sheridan, who played the last time, having to try and win their land share ball from that big strong midfield. But the other thing with Conroy is, he can put the ball over the bar at distance. I watched him here against, as you said, the enemy, and he was popping them over, really at will. He's a fantastic footballer. So there's Finnerty as well. They're a very, very strong side. Defensively, there were weaknesses, and I think that has improved with them. I think they're a more balanced side now than what they've been before. But with the forward line that Armagh have, if they can move that ball quickly and get it into their inside line, Nugent inside. If Rain plays in, the ball's playing in him as well. If he comes out, he's obviously a great distributor. That's the type of game that they're playing now, with that more direct passing that we're seeing. And in the big spaces of Croke Park, obviously it's going to be more important, Gordy. So it's going to be a very interesting matchups to see who will match up with who, and vice versa. Who have Galway got that can deal with the likes of Rian O'Neill, who's playing out of his skin at the minute, did really well in that last game. If you pick up him, then who picks up a Nugent then, and who picks up a Nugent then, who's going to pick up a Rory Grugan, who to me is the quarterback of that team. And the goal he scored that last day, would have been goal of the season. It was fantastic. And you get in 15 seconds, second fastest goal ever. Was fantastic to see. So I think when you get that knock-on effect as to who they pick up, there's always someone else free. And Soupy at the moment has just come alive again. And Soupy rightly said he was playing well, even when he was really coming on in those games. But that was the strategy, that he was coming in, Jamar would start and Soupy would come in. He's been starting his last 2 games. I know people thought he wasn't as good in that last game. The work that he was doing, the space he was creating for others, maybe he wasn't scoring as prolific as he had in the previous game. But you don't always get those back to back on it. So it'll be interesting to see A, the matchups, and B, the strategy and how it's counteracted.
And your own man, your own club man, Vernon, has a part to play as well. Anytime he got he wasn't on the full match against Donegal, but he done damage. He does damage every time he gets the ball. So
absolutely.
Strength and depth in the squad.
Yeah, and when I spoke to Kieran earlier on in the year, about how things were going, and one of the key things that he had said to me was that, the fact that they're having a better bill of health, clean bill of health. That you get the likes of, it's been very unfortunate for Oisin O'Neill, who's a fantastic footballer as well, who only would add to that team. He's been out. And then we had Nugent out for a bit, with Farker out for a couple of games in the league as well. So there was one or two missing, but the bulk of the team will come back in again, and that was a big plus. And then obviously we lost Paddy Burns, who again had just come back. Pardon me, had been playing really well. Was good in that game until the hamstring went again. So that was a big loss. So having a clean bill of health is very, very important for Armagh, and it's made a big difference this year. That you've got players of that calibre, that your bench is going to be strong. And you've seen, as I say, the strategy with Soupy coming in. You've seen the strategy with Merlin. And in the 3 years that I was there with Kieran, I think probably we only seen Andy really for, and that time maybe for about 3 months play time, because he's been playing with injuries obviously, and it seems they've got improved. I don't want to give him the kiss of death, because every time we thought Andy was coming back in again, something would happen on. But he is so effective at what he does. People just think about the scoring power that he has and the ball winner he is, which he is, but his defensive work that he does, and there is the old adage, you're only as good as, from a defensive point, as your full forward line, how they defend. When you haven't got that ball, he works so hard, to win that ball back. He works so hard to win the dirty ball as well, that if that ball is kicked into him, you think he hasn't a chance of winning it, and verbally he can get a hand on it and do something from it as well, and we know he can score. So it's fantastic to see. I just hope that we don't get any more injuries, that Kieran continues to have a clean bill of health to pick from, because if we're going to get the run for the next phases of quarter-final, semi-final and on to the final, he needs everybody, and we've seen that the teams that have kept clean bills of health and got everybody available are the ones that's pushed on. Last year, Tyrone didn't have half the problems they've had as it had this year. And you've seen the difference with Matty Donnelly coming back when out so long, how much he was off the game. It's important for me that we have a strong bench to come in and finish off teams as well, as we've seen in all the games so far where they've done that.
Yep. No, say look, that's why I come down here, Jim. Comprehensively covered, most of the aspects there without me having to ask questions, you know what I mean? So,
you do it for a cup of coffee, wouldn't you?
You're starting to play championship training tonight anyway, so you couldn't have had a pint anyway.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. No, it's not. We're starting the championship training. We're into our championship mode,
Yes.
because our league, for the way it is in down now with Burn, they're trying to rebalance the leagues. So this year, the top 4 go into playoffs, and the rest then play each other for the second time, and the bottom 4 or the bottom 2 go down. And from that, I think so maybe there's more than 2 that try and rebalance the leagues before we down 2 come up. And the top 4 then play each other again, like a mini league, and the top 2 play in the final. So we're in that phase now, preparing for that.
Yeah.
And then as soon as that finishes, straight in the championship, it really is championship preparation time.
Yeah.
So there's no other time to do anything more that you want to do. So
Things going well then?
yeah, it's going very well. Fantastic club. Really enjoying my time with them. Great bunch of players. The one that I mentioned as well, Paddy Burns, is married into the parish. So Paddy has transferred across as well. We haven't seen him, of course, with Armagh's run. So it'd be nice to see Paddy wearing the green and white as well. So great club, great facilities, a super bunch of players, and we're just hoping we can push on again. Brought in a lot of young players and try and develop the young players again. Where obviously that's where the success is going to be for the future.
Yeah, well, hopefully he's reach our potential over the next couple of years. Like really hope he's doing. So. As long as he's not playing the Clans or or an Armagh team. In fact, you know what I mean?
Well, we will be this year, or whoever wins down this year will be, because I suppose assuming Armagh, I think the Ulster Championship this year is Armagh v Monaghan in the prelim,
right,
and then the winners of Down play the winners of that in the quarterfinals. So whoever would win potentially could be playing it. Then again, there's a long road before. There's a lot of football to be played before you get to there. And I mean, our focus at the minute is just really to get in this top 4 phase to try and keep the team preparing for the championship and that.
Yeah, well, that's great. And just as you were saying earlier about the clean bill of health, I want to just mention. I've been to all the games this year, obviously the league and that there, and I was so excited every time we saw Tiernan Kelly getting on the ball, and I know things aren't right, health wise with Tiernan, and I want to give him a shout out and say, well, hopefully see him in the in the county colours again. And
absolutely. I mean, I think if you look at what he was doing for such a young age too, to break in so quickly and hold his place, because I've seen even the likes of Jason Duffy. I mean, Jason was just, whenever I first started, Jason had just come into the squad, and in the challenge game, I think he broke a bone in his hand or his thumb in a challenge game with Donegal on the athletic grounds. Just the very first challenge game we had, and was out for quite a bit, and is really only making the full breakthrough now this year on it. Whereas he's come in right at the start. He's playing superb football, so strong, so pacey, and can finish as well. So he fits the mould of what Kieran McGeeney would want in my eyes.
And the passes he picked out, he's just the full package. And it's just so disappointed that he's not playing on Sunday.
Yes, unfortunately, but I mean, hopefully he'll be back soon. He'll be back to full health, and he'll be playing again, back into this team that's Kieran's developed, and you can see the development that's been there. I mean, we talked about that Galway side. That Galway side in the last time they played in 2016 was probably maybe 1 or 2 or 3 players at the most in that team. Armagh team's the same. There's so much change since then on both teams, and you can see, I knew firsthand what Kieran was trying to do during those 3 years to develop to get them to the point where he is now, and that job is almost complete. And he's building continuously for the future with that. So. And great to see the Clonmara players, come through. Young Turb as well. It was unfortunate for him with a hand injury. So there's been those injuries throughout the year. But the important thing is, that they are where they are now, and there's still opportunities for guys to come back and get back playing again.
Well, look, let's hope we win next Sunday, and I will bring you down to Rosscarver for that night. I'm actually off the beer, but I'm driving anyway.
That's it.
So I'm sure I can have you. I can buy you a pint in the village there.
That'll work out well.
Jim, thanks a million.
You're very welcome. No problem.
Thanks a million.
Okay, cheers.